Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Thanks, Andrew. Know how it works? Nothing? No, just get up here, huh? I'm an alcoholic. Just call me Gil. Hi, Gil. It's an honor and privilege for me to come share my strength, hope, and experience. Famous York Street. 60 years of making meetings ready for alcoholics yet to get here. Not too shabby. I'll call it the sobriety capital of the world. That's probably what this place is. Yeah. And I'm always a little bit nervous when I come up here. Andrew, thank you for believing in me and my recovery. And I've had an interesting week. I had to sit and listen to all the speakers. And I learned a lot. It was very good. You know, there's not a lot of money in making CDs. But it's another day I stay sober. You know, I'll always come home and I'm whooped. And my wife will say, "You didn't make no money." I said, "Yeah, but another day I'm sober." I have a loosen up story that I tell because I am nervous. And it's about an alcoholic. He died sober and he never made the rooms, Alcoholics Anonymous. And he went up there. And up there was a guy waiting. And he had a pad. And he asked the alcoholic, "What's your name?" And the alcoholic gave him his name. He looked at the pad, the man, and he says, "Yep, you're supposed to be here." Smart-ass alcoholic with no program says, "What you got up here?" You know, like he was going to have his choice of beer, you know. And the man said, "We have 3 denominations. I'm going to take you through these clouds. And if you fit in, you can stay. You'll belong." And the guy said, "That sounds good." So the man takes him through the clouds, opens up a big set of doors, looks in there. There's a bunch of people sitting on these hard pews reading a book. And the alcoholic said, "Who are they?" The man said, "They're Protestants." He said, "No way, I ain't staying here. They're not having no fun. You can tell." He said, "Okay, come with me." So he goes through the clouds some more, open up another set of doors. Bunch of people in there kneeling down praying. The alcoholic said, "Who are they?" The man said, "They're devout Catholics praying to get here. They don't know. They're already here." He says, "No, they ain't having no fun. I don't want to go here." All right, come on. I go through the clouds some more. He opens up another big set of doors. Cigarette smoke came out. He smelled coffee brewing. People had cell phones on. They were hugging one another. They were laughing. The alcoholic said, "This is more like it. Who are they?" The man said, "We don't know. They started coming here 72 years ago." He said, "Every time we ask them how long you're staying, they give us this crap, one day at a time." Hey, 72 years old. Amazing. That loosens me up. I can go anywhere now. I got sober on the East Coast of New Jersey. Then I'm 11 years sober. I moved to California. Bad place, serious, man. Them guys bring their big books to work with them. I mean, these guys are serious. I spent 9 years in LA, and then I moved to Colorado 6.5 years ago. So you're going to get like an East, West Coast blend of recovery. Aren't you lucky you came here tonight? And it does loosen me up. You know, You know, I'm from the 50s and 60s. You know I don't look like it because alcohol preserved my ass. I don't know about you guys. And, you know, we would find an echo chamber, smoke a little dope, and sing a cappella. You know, doo-wops, the old 50s songs with harmony and no music. That was heaven. And you know, I used to bring my friends over to my house, and my dad had the Christmas lights up all year round. Retrospect, looking over recovery, it's the first sign of an alcoholic. You know, so in the summertime when you go from here and go walk around and someone's got their lights up, chances are they're alcoholic. And and the guys would say, well, why did Dad got the Christmas lights on in July? I said, I don't know, man. Don't even go there. My parents were cool, and I'm one of 6 kids. And I'd bring the guys over to the house. My dad used to let us hang out in the basement, smoke cigarettes, and have a few beers. Their attitude was, at least you're not in the street. Little did they know. Yeah. And like I say, I grew up in the 50s and 60s. I wasn't a jock. You know, every time they played basketball, baseball, football, I'd be the last kid to get picked. It was always like, there I was, standing all by myself with my baseball glove at a basketball game. And, and they would say, okay, we'll take Gil. Oh, great. You know, so. The hell with you guys. I joined the gang. Hey, it was the 50s and 60s. You know, there were 2 gangs out by us. I mean, it wouldn't be no fun, just one. Just like on TV, Dukes and the Lords, right? So I joined the Lords. See, now I'm on a spiritual path. I don't even know it. I joined the Lords, you know, and I slicked my hair back with Vaseline. I didn't even use pomade. And I had a black leather jacket, black boots, black belt, and a clip-on earring. I don't want to hurt myself, you know. So I joined this gang. And in the gang, you had to rob something to belong. This was the thing. So me and my little buddy, we called him the Gnat. He was the smallest kid out of 13. His brother played football for the New York Giants. Okay, so I hung out with this kid because if guys picked on us, we'd go and get his brothers. You know, and them guys were like big mamas, man. And so I hung out with him. So me and him sized up this gas station and candy store. 2 old people, they should have been retired. You know, he kept the old man busy. I emptied out the register. We ran in the woods. We had 20s, 10s, 5s. The guys in the gang said, you're cool, man. We like you. Yeah, you know. And for the first time in my life, I fit in and I belonged. And, of course, we would go out and buy roller skates. They didn't have rollerblades in them days. Roller skates and bikes and stuff, and our parents were like, where are you guys getting all this money? And we would say, raking leaves, cutting grass, shoveling snow. We lie like a rug, you know. And it's funny because all my life I was like trying to fit in and belong with people, and we would take that money and buy what they call street stuff, you know, would be things like, I'll just talk a little bit about, I did some drugs, but if you're just a juicer, I did all my drugs alcoholically, I swear, you know, so, yeah, I won't get too far. I can go to another place and talk about drugs. But anyway, and that's what we would do, you know, and then I was like, you know, I was like trying to fit in and belong, and them guys would bring like stuff out of their medicine cabinet. I was like the neighborhood pharmacist guinea pig, you know. They would bring stuff from their medicine cabinet. Give it a Gil, try this, and wash it down with this, you know. And I'm like, so, and half the time I would fake a buzz. Oh, I gotta get more of that stuff. What the hell? It could have been birth control pills. I don't know. Anyway, you know. So that's kind of like how I fit in, and then I outgrew the gang, you know. I outgrew the gang, and I always say I married a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead. Well, my redhead's got all kinds of different hair now. She's got blonde, brunette, and red hair. So there were 3 women in my life, and after I left the gang, I went down the shore with a friend of mine, and I met the blonde. There she was, and you know, she was cute, and we settled down. We got married, me and the blonde. I was out of high school. I graduated when I was 18. They used to call me the old man. I think I got left back in 2nd grade. I don't know. My first love, my 2nd grade teacher. Maybe, I don't know. So I married a blonde. We settled down. We get married. We got 4 kids. We're living in New Jersey on the harbor, and you know, I'm hanging out with the hippies. You know, it's like 1964. I'm on the beach with the hippies, passing the bottle around. You know, they had what I wanted. You know, stuff to get high with. And I would come home late, and then she would have that Al-Anon pant, you know, banging her foot down with her arms folded. What are you doing down there with them people? You're married, you got 4 kids. It wasn't soon after that. She said, I want out of the marriage. I don't love you no more. Whoa, I said, take it easy, man. Whoa, yeah, I could change, you know. Well, you know. Yeah, you know. And she did. She was serious. And so, yeah, she was. There was a part of me that was hurt because my parents stayed married for 50 years through their addictions and all their crap. You know, and I thought, this wife wants to leave me. I failed. You know, I failed at marriage. And so finally the day came, and she said, no, I'm going. And, you know, we decided to sell a house, split it down the middle. She got the inside, I got the outside. Real good deal, you know. Typical alcoholic, you know, I could sleep I went in a shed in the backyard. That's what I did, you know. And I was ready to get a phone and a mailbox, and then we sold the house. She took the kids after the house was sold. That's a good idea. And I became a weekend father. And I also was trying to drown my sorrows. You know, I was like, there was a part of me, the sober part of me was, you know, I didn't want to lose my marriage. The alcoholic part of me was, you know, with her out of the way, you can go drink the way you want to. You don't have to answer to nobody. Yeah, like that. So I got a boarding room. She took the kids. I took the car and the lawnmower. What a deal. And I didn't have no grass to cut. I sold the lawnmower, of course. But and I was hanging out with guys that were going through divorce. And it's funny, birds of a feather flock together. You know, we were going out. And one day we were coming back home from work, and we used to stop in this watering hole. And then one day we said, hey, what is that? Oh, that's a disco club. I said, yeah, let's go there. We peeked our head in the door, and they were going boom, 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 music blare. I said, yeah, this is us, man. And I remember taking a paycheck, going to the clothes store, and I bought me some dancing clothes. I bought yellow pants, yellow shoes, yellow flowered shirt. And I said, this is for me. I missed out. I got married too young. And, you know, I got involved in the nightlife. You know, we would go to this nightclub, and they would have tailgate parties in the parking lot. You know, already getting loaded out there, and then when the nightclub opened up, we'd go in there, and I'd order like 2 shots, a shot, and a beer, and a beer. And the bartender would say, who the hell do you want drinks for? I said, me, man. You know, I want to catch up. You know, I need some nerve to dance. And, you know, there it was. I was in the nightlife, man. There was something about floors that lit up and the Juanitas running around, and there I was. I turned into this John Travolta overnight. You know, I'm in this. And then some time went by, a couple of months, and I remember leaving the bar. I was loaded, man. I was wasted. And I remember I hit a sore curb and banged into a bridge. And I saw the lights flashing. I went, oh, man. So I moved over to the passenger side. I was going to make believe the driver ran away. You know, they must have been watching me. So the cop shining his light on my yellow pants, yellow shoes, yellow flower trim. Who are you? I said, first thing came to mind, I'm John Travolta. Yeah, right. And I'm Officer Bolton. Yeah, you're coming with us. No, they let me go. I don't know. They let me go. And check this out. 2 weeks later, I did the same damn thing. I spun around, I hit the curb, I hit the bridge, here come the lights. One cop go, who is it? He said, John Travolta. What do you think? So there I am, now I'm really busted, right? Sex, alcohol, rock and roll, next 5 years. It was out there in them nightclubs I met my second wife to be. She was 18, I was 30. It was like bliss. No drama, I promise, no drama. She was a mature 18, just in case there's any parents here, you know. Dress it up, false label it. She followed me around for a couple years, and she was an Al-Anon to be, you know. She would say things like, you drink every day, you know, if you marry me and we have a couple kids, this won't be there no more. I finally settled down with her because I was rolling cars over. I was getting in trouble. I got in trouble with people, you know. They were selling cocaine. I was their delivery boy. Yeah, and then they got busted. I remember trying to go to this apartment, and there was the tapes all around. They busted them. The cop was like, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Boom, man. I just stayed with alcohol after that. That cocaine made me sick. I OD'd a couple times. Thank God I had alcohol in my breath. But I think one of the nurses, she knew. She said, you need to go to one of these places with big letters. And I said, oh, yeah, right. And so we settled down. We got married. And now I'm 50 miles away from all the nightclubs. She made sure of that. And then eventually we had 2 kids. And then so I became, you know, I found a bar in the neighborhood, you know, where I had my own seat with my name on it. And when the bartender saw me pull in the parking lot, he'd have my cocktails already. You know, I would get those little Rolling Rock nips and put them in an ice bucket because, you know, they go down real quick. You know, and he made sure, you know, my Rolling Rock bucket was right there. And the wife would call up, you know, is my husband there? And then I'd give him $10 and he'd go, nah, I ain't seen him all day, you know, you know, that stuff. She called me on my alcoholism. Another Al-Anon to be, panting her foot one day. I'm coming home, I see bags in front of the door. I go, who's moving in? No, she said, who's moving out? She said, you do something about your drinking. You drink every day, that's not normal. And I know, man, I tried so many times to stop drinking. And, you know, a couple weeks would go by, man. One drink, I'd be gone again. Go out for a loaf of bread and come back 4 days later. You know, finally, you know, she gave me the ultimatum. And she said, you do something about your drinking, and I'm out of here. You know, and I used to find Al-Anon pamphlets in my drawers, and I'd be on a fishing trip with the boys, popping beers down. There'd be something about alcoholics, you know, and pamphlet in my bait box. I'm like, I'll kill her. You know, there was a guy in my building, Arizona Bones, because we lived in this complex, and Arizona Bones had one of them. He used to be the town drunk, and then he got sober. See, so I knew he was going somewheres and doing something, because the cops would find him in the hedges and below zero weather, and they said, let the sucker die. You know, he's a pain in the ass. We're always, and he would live, and they'd see him 2 days later and say, oh my God, it's a ghost. You know, this is the guy, right? The town drunk. He lives in my building, and he got a Volkswagen van, and it's got all the stickers the fellowship has. Easy does it, one day at a time, but for the grace of God, you know. Then on the back, he had this think upside down. I used to come home loaded and go, why the hell did he put that think upside down? He even had a bumper sticker, follow me to a meeting. It was like a campaign truck for AA. So I go to this guy and I say, Richie, you gotta take me to one of them meetings you go to. He says, yeah, I used to watch you come home loaded, because the cops used to take my keys away. And the chief of police, because I put a furnace in his house because I used to do heating work, he would tell the cops, bring Gil home, you know, drop him on the stairway and put his keys in the mailbox. You know, they would do that for me. Richie goes, yeah, I saw you come home. You fell in the mud puddle. You dragged all the mud up the stairs. Then in the morning, you're banging on the door, blaming it on everybody. It was you. He said, I used to stand by the window on the second floor saying, I'm going to take this boy to a meeting. So, you know, so here I am. I'm talking to this guy, right? And I said, yeah, I want to go to the meeting. Where do you want to go? I said, I want to go 4 towns away. He goes, what's with you guys? Everybody wants to go 4 towns away. He says, that's where all the alcoholics in town are, 4 towns away. You go to a meeting in a town you drank in, no one's going to know you. Shit. He lied, man. He lied. I walk into this meeting, 250 people. I go down, there they all were, all the guys from the bar that I drank with and got in trouble with. You know, all tough Tonys, you know, standing against the wall. Yo, Gil, we've been waiting for you. That's what they said to me. We thought you were dead. I said, I thought you guys were dead. Then every group has him, an old-timer, you know. So here he comes. He goes, new guy, huh? Good. We need a coffee maker. Ours relapsed. I'm like, whoa. Did the guy catch that from making coffee? He said, smart ass, get in the kitchen. I'll show you how to make coffee. Oh, jeez. First time somebody ever asked me to do something, or at least belong to something. I'm in the kitchen, no rehab. You know, I got stuff in the trunk of my car. I got a belly full of alcohol. I'm jonesing. I'm in the kitchen trying to make coffee. There's this young kid in there. I say young, he's like 21. He goes, you're losing it. He said, here, smoke one of these with me by the window, by the fan. He said, and it'll take the edge off. And so here we are in the kitchen smoking this marijuana. Somehow the fans were blowing backwards. They blow it into the speaker meeting. Yeah. 250 people barging in the kitchen. What the hell are you doing? Put that out. You can't do that here. I says, take it easy. We don't drink. He says, no, don't work that way. I put it out. I don't want to lose my position. Well, 6 months goes by, I'm making coffee for 250 juicers. You know, and they had these old church pots. They were huge, and they had like this sock, looked like a sock, a big ass sock, and they poured a whole can of coffee in there, and then you'd hit this, you'd pour hot water over it, and that's how they made the coffee. And when we would run out, all Harry would say, Gil, just throw some hot water over them old grinds. Them drunks will never know the difference. So I started learning all the tricks, you know, about making coffee. And then people would come up to me and say, best coffee we ever had. Oh my God, if they ever knew. 6 months goes by, I got no sponsor. I don't even have a book. I'm sober 6 months, making coffee for 250 juicers. Then my next position was washing mugs. You know I came into AA was old-fashioned. Mug washer. There ain't too many around anymore. Some AA clubs have mugs, but you hang them on a wall, they get dirty. And so now I got to wash these mugs. You know, 250 mugs in hot water. Another 6 months goes by. No sponsor, no book. I'm sober a year. Check it out. Making coffee once a week. I like this. This is great. I felt important. And then one day I had this bright idea, because they used to do bingo there, and I took 300 metal ashtrays home. I put them in my bathtub. I'm soaking them. And my Al-Anon to-be is patting her foot, saying, you know, you did some crazy stuff when you were drinking. Look what you're doing to my tub. What are you doing? I said, I'm just doing a good deed. I Brilloed them out, took them in the backyard and sanded them, spray painted them and put them on the fence. My neighbor's going, oh, you really lost it. You know, you ought to drink. Look at what the hell you're doing with all them ashtrays. I said, listen, man, I'm just trying to do a good deed. So I brought them back to the meeting. Every time somebody put a cigarette butt out in my ashtray, I went, oh man, all that work. A year and a half goes by. No book, no sponsor. I'm sober, a year and a half, piece of cake. Then they made me a door greeter. Oh God. Now I'm a door greeter. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you look like an alcoholic. Come on in. You know, I was there. I offended some lady, you know. And so who comes in? My wife. Last time I saw her, she was going to a co-program. She came in smelling like a brewer. They threw her out the back door. You go to AA. So she comes. I go, what are you doing here? She said, I got a problem too. I said, well, that's nice, but this is my meeting. I'm territorial like my goldfish. Get on your own side of the tank. You know. She said, no, I like this meeting. Oh, great. You know, they told her, get a sponsor, join the group, and clean house. She cleaned house, all right. I was the first one to go. She made 6 months she's there. She goes, yep, I don't want to be married to you no more. I don't love you anymore. I go, oh, no, here's another one. What the hell are you doing? You can't. It's like, no way. She said, yeah, it's like, you know. I mean, we fell into that couple syndrome in recovery. I mean, we didn't know who the hell we were when we were drinking, you know. And then when I sober up, you know, I'm off. I'm not home more. I was not home as much as I was when I was drinking, you know. You know, they get pissed off when AA fixes you and they can't. You know how it is. Anyways, well, yeah, this is. I've experienced this. I used to go to Al-Anon. I told him that. Oh my God, I made some more. So I don't know what to do. I'm hurting. I'm like, you know, I'm sleeping on the couch. Nothing going on in the bedroom. You know, I had a joint sex without partners, you know. And fastest growing organization in recovery. And you ever go to one of them meetings? The slogan is get a hold of yourself. Can you believe that? Anyway, let me get on the right path here. Let me get on the right path. You know, I'm hurting like hell, man. Now my feelings and my emotions are killing me. You know, a couple of years sober, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You know, I put the plug in a jug, she wants out. Don't make sense. You know, and I started to throw all the program stuff I had. I said, you can't make no major decisions for a year. Huh. She laughed at that one. I said, you can't leave before the miracle. She didn't buy that one either. Not working. Now she's off to meetings, I'm off to meetings, I'm peeking in the windows. I don't know where she is. I don't know what she's doing. You know, it's like abandonment issues kick in, jealousy, you know, all things you don't think you have because you're sober, you know, and it's like, I'm hurting like hell, man. And I just didn't know what to do. I started following her around. I tapped the phone. They call that stalking. You go to jail. Don't even think about it. My sponsor is break up with someone. You go, yeah, I want to buy our house. Man, don't do that. Don't do that. Put a restraining order on your ass, and you're finished. Big book ain't gonna save you. I was hurting like hell, man. I was so lost. You know, I went to my sponsor and I said, I don't know what to do. You know, he said, well, he came over and he did an intervention. And she said, well, I don't love him no more. I said, that's it. I'm out of here. I took my big book, my binky, and my blanket. I said, you keep the apartment, I'm going. The kids will start school soon. I moved the town away. And I was hurting, man. I remember coming home from meetings and I had a little 4x4 room, and I was hurting like hell. And then I got a waterbed, and then I got I got lights, you know, and then some girl gave me curtains. I said, oh, this ain't maybe not too bad. You know, like I was going to do 90 women in 90 days or something, you know. But no, hey, newcomer, hey, Gil, take that off the tape. But, I kid around with some young guys once in a while, and they go back and tell their sponsor, and they go, stay away from that Gil guy. But, you know, I was hurting, man. I didn't know what the hell to do. I would go to meetings. I lost 40 pounds. I had an ulcer attack. I wound up in a hospital, and the nurse was like, have you been under stress lately? Stress. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to live. I didn't want to drink. And every time I picked up the big book, like on page 99 and 100, let no man or woman say they cannot stay sober with or without their woman or man. And that's what it says. And I thought, you know, I'll show her, man. I'll get sobriety. I'll fix her. And and you know, the divorce came, and I told my sponsor, I don't want to live, man. I said, I want to kill myself. He says, why would you kill somebody you don't know, Gil? That's what he said to me. I'm like, what? You know. Anyway, so I'm in my apartment and banging on the door. There they are, a bunch of guys. Come on, we're going on a retreat up in the mountains. They're going to talk about the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't want to go on no retreat with 100 men. You know, I wanted something to fix me. I didn't have 100 men in mind, I'll tell you that. That's for sure. So now I go up, I give them $10. It was more, but they wanted me to be committed. So I PMS. I packed my suitcase away. I went up in the mountains, some monk's place, you know. It was, and I go up there. Now my higher power's got a sense of humor. Of course, who's on this retreat now? My ex-wife's new live-in boyfriend. You know, Mr. AA, you know, he's sober, you know, and I'm pissed. I got this thing about somebody putting their slippers where I used to put mine, hanging their robe where I used to put mine, and then he was eating the peaches off the damn peach tree I planted, you know, and I'm riding by at the light. There I go, passing by the house, and he's biting the peach. I was like, now he's on this retreat, and he's like, Gil, it's going to get better. I'm like, already is better. You know, it's like, I wanted to spiritually murder his ass. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to drown him in a pond, you know, at this monastery, right? And the retreat master was a priest, Father Ken. We call him Father Ken on Sunday, Kenny any other day. He was awesome. He was my kind of priest. He spit, he cursed, told dirty jokes, gave mass on Sunday. All my life I'm looking for one of these guys. There he is giving a retreat, 7 years sober. And he qualified on Friday night. The old timers call it, you got to qualify. You know, you're going to talk about the steps with 100 men. You got to qualify on Friday night. So he starts telling us his sick-ass story. You know, him and his father and his brother would drink together. The brother was a state trooper. And they would get loaded. Kenny would put his brother's uniform on, get on the motorcycle. They used to take their bikes home years ago. And then he'd go out and pull people over with the siren. And then the cops arrested his ass one night. And he had to call a Monsignor to bail him out. They didn't know what to do with this priest. So they told him, you give recovery retreats for the alcoholics. That's what you do. That's your mission. So he is crazy. And then one night he got loaded in a bar, right? So they drop him off on where he lives in the church steps. He was in the rectory. The nuns came out of the convent, dragged his ass into the rectory. They ain't even supposed to be there. They were like codependent nuns. Yeah. You know what they were? Underground. Al-Anuns. They were. They were Al-Anuns. I know it. Oh yeah, next time you see a nun, be careful what you say. They might know Bill W., you know, or Lois, or somebody. And so he's giving a retreat. I fell in love with him. I'm walking in the garden with him on Saturday, and he takes one look at my sorry ass. So Gil, what's up with you? Oh. And I told him what I just told you about the wife's boyfriend on retreat. I want to kill him, spiritually murder him. Sounds better. I said, Kenny, where the hell's the spiritual side of this program? He said, Gil, there's no spiritual side of the program. It's all spiritual. What's your problem? Let me break the first 3 steps down for you. It's a cliche, but I didn't know that 20 some odd years ago. He said, Gil, the first step is you can't. Second step is he can. Third step, Gil, why don't you let him? Whoa, I was floored. I couldn't believe this. I could not believe it. You have to keep things on a Cheerios cornflakes level for me, even today. And I'm coming home from this retreat. Now I'm all pumped up. I'm riding down the freeway singing it like a song. I can, he can, I'm going to let him. You know, like, I made this rhyme up, right? I'm going down there, I can't wait to get to my home group. Just like Horshack, I got my hand. Oh, call on me, because there you got to raise your hand. You got to raise your hand at meetings on the East Coast. Yo, call on me. And I'm over there. I can't, he can, I'm going to let him. Every group has one, an old timer. Gil, can I see you in the back of the room at the break? Uh-oh, what do I do now? I don't want to mess with old timers. I figured they had, if you were nice to them, they would tell you the shortcut to content sobriety. He goes, where'd you get that crap? I said, on retreat. He said, that's the 3 pertinent ideas. You're an alcoholic in recovery. You can't manage your own life. No human power is going to do it, but God couldn't would if he was sought. Oh, my God. Another cornflakes Cheerio. I'm hearing it for 3 years. It ain't sinking in. And the most powerful, may you find him now. Like, I'm looking all around. Where the hell is he? What do you mean find him now? What meeting is he at? You know. The old timers told me if you work the steps out of the book, you will find a higher power of your understanding. I like that. I went with that. There I was, 3 years, sober, with untreated alcoholism. I don't recommend that for anybody. And I went to my sponsor and I said, hey, Kenny gave he wasn't there. Kenny gave the retreat and he said this thing. He said, he can't want you to let him. I said, yeah, how the hell did you know? He said, Gil, that's old hat. Yeah, well, what am I going to let him do if I let him? He said, I thought you never asked. You know, there I was, 3 years, no 4-step. And he was an awesome guy. Joe Moore, he's dead now. He was, I wondered what he had, you know? I mean, I watched this man work with alcoholics and addicts, co-alcoholics. I watched this man bring families together. I watched this man put people in his basement, you know, and nurse them until I got a job. It's the kind of guy he was. In the old days, they would just call me up and say, get ready, we're coming to get you. I'm like, where the hell are we going? You know, it was like, they would give you this, shut up and get in the car. I thought that was step 1. You know, shut up and get in the car. You know, okay, and then we go, you know, some wet drunk, you know, and oh, God, you know. Best teacher there was, best advocate there is watch a man dying of alcoholism when you don't think sobriety means much, you know. And he was awesome. And you know, it is funny, but this guy, when his wife came to me once, and if he didn't come to me, I would be waiting on his doorstep for him to come home. You know, let's work some steps, let's go. And his wife said, yeah, well, he may be sober a while, but, you know, you ain't got to live with him. I said, did you ever go to Al-Anon? I introduced her to Al-Anon. She fell in love with the fellowship. When they buried her, she had her ODAT book with her. And she thanked me. And when she died, and then my wife and I were like going to dances together. You know, I was playing this open heart surgery with a marriage that was ended, you know. And I'd have to heal every time we got together, you know. That's called open heart surgery. It's what it's called, man, without anesthetic. And so eventually, you know, he said he was going to move to Florida. And he used to go to the nude beach in Jersey. And then people will come back from the meeting and say, oh, guess who we saw on the nude beach? Joe said, that's it, I'm out of here. Everybody knows my damn business. And it's funny, in a nude beach, like you see everybody, and then when they're all dressed and in the parking lot, you can't recognize them. I don't know what that is. Anyway, he moves to Florida. I said, I'm going to California. I'd met Roseanne. Where is she? I just saw her. Oh, I met Roseanne. He said, you get a sponsor out there, I'll get one. Ah, man, I didn't like that. But he writes me a letter saying, guess what? I'm managing a nudist colony. I go, oh, Jesus, this guy. I said, hey, probably start a meeting out there. Sure enough, next paragraph, we started a noon nude meeting. Oh, he's happier than all hell, right? The slogan is, try to identify, don't compare. What do you think of that, right? And the big book don't have a cover on it. So, you know, they got big books for nudist colonies. I missed him. He was great, wonderful man. Showed me a lot. He helped me out a lot. He came to my house and we did a 3rd step together. I mean, I already internalized the first 3 steps, or I wouldn't have been sober 3.5 years. And he said, Gil, I know you. You grew up with a punishing God. I said, yeah, hung out with all these Catholic boys. That's all they talk about. God's going to get us, going to put us in hell. You know, Catholic guys are like misled or something. No, you are what you pay attention to, and I was paying attention to it. And every time we fell down, got hurt, or someone stole our stuff, we thought, yep, that's that God. He's getting even. You know. I said, yeah, I grew up with a punishing God. Yeah. He says, well, look, that God you grew up with, Gil, forget about him. Think about a God you'd like to get close to, you know, as we go through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and then see if you can get to know him. And we did the third step prayer. He did it too. I said, why are you doing it? He said, I'm working with you. He takes me outside and he goes, look up there. It was nighttime. See all those stars? Yeah, pick one out. Oh, I like that one, that big bright one. It's probably Mars. What the hell do I know? I said, I like that one. Let's go in the house and talk a while. We talk a while. An hour later, we come out. Where's your star? Somebody moved it. He said, yeah, and it wasn't you. I said, yeah. He said, it was a power greater than yourself. I got you. Okay. You see, what I did was I made a decision in my third step to do a fourth step. A lot of people are misled. They think you got to have a higher power before you do the steps. Do it. You'll find that higher power somewhere around 11, step 11. Yeah, you'll find him. He'll come. He'll find your ass. And so that's what I did. I made a decision to do a fourth step. Quite contrary to what you hear in Alcoholics Anonymous, that's what this man did for me. He knew where I came from. And he came from an orphanage. And he said, Gil, here's what I want you to do. We ain't even in the big book yet. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go all the way back to your childhood, as far back as you can remember. I want you to write down everything you ever did to everybody, how you felt about it, and everything everybody else ever did to you, and how you felt about that. Well, I go, oh, okay. Jeez, it took me 5 months. Took me 5 months. It was amazing. What he wanted me to do was get some information out of my head, out of my gut, and out of my heart. So that when we were ready to do the columns in the big book, he left room for some new information. That's what happened to me. And I don't have a problem, you know, looking at the dishonesty, self-centeredness, people I harm. I had no problem with that. I did an 8-column inventory. I did an 8-column. As I went through that thing, I found out that he told me everything you need for the rest of the steps is in your 4th step. And I said that this afternoon. He said, you'll get a list of the people you'd harm. After your 4th column, when you look at, you'll have come a long way when you can see your part in the situation in the 4th column. And in the 5th column, I was to put down the people I had harmed and some defects I had. And the 6th column was the defects. The 7th column was the opposite to the defects. The 8th column was the people I had harmed, and then eventually I did a 9 on the people I harmed. I did an 8-column inventory. Quite contrary to what you hear. You know, if you tell me you did the steps the big book way, I'd have to disagree that you're only a 10-stepper. There isn't enough information in the big book on 6 and 7. God's going to take your defects? I don't think so, man. He don't want that crap either. Well, you know, and that's what he did for me. He shed the light on me. And I could see in my 4th step, the person I wanted you to think I was all my life, the people I drank with, ran around with, people I got sober with. And then there was the person that I could become as a result of the steps. I could see shame, blame, guilt, abandonment, rejection, illness on top of illness, almost 4 years sober. I had it. Sick as they come, I was. What was left now that I wasn't drinking was showing up in my 4th year of sobriety. And I could see it in that 4th step. When I went back to that same retreat, okay, now I'm back on this retreat, right? And I'm going to do a 5th step. And who's there? The wife's ex-boyfriend. She throws him out. You know, and he comes to me and he's like, whoa. And I said, it's going to get better. I thought he was going to kill me. They had to hold him back, man. He wanted to, like, drown my ass in a pond. You know, I said, wow, man, take it easy. You know. Now, Joe, he don't know this. Joe's at a meeting. This guy's crying to him. My girlfriend. He said, I know just the guy you got to talk to. Went through the same thing. He brings him to me. I think to this day, I got a feeling he knew what he was doing. So he brings this guy to me like I'm going to work with this guy. He's sleeping with my ex-wife. We want to talk about humility, getting humble. Anyway, I talked to the guy. You know, I don't blame him. Retrospect, looking over my step work, I can honestly say my misfortunes in Alcoholics Anonymous have been my good fortunes all the time. I got on this retreat. Here we are, Father Ken, Joe, my sponsor. We're in the library, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, you know, I'm telling these guys all my deep, dark secrets, right? And I'm opening my gut, and I said, look at this stuff. What is all this? You know, why was I molested by a priest 8 years of age? No one believed me. Kenny, well, he was sick. You pray for him. I said, I will like hell. But I did. And I'm going on, and I'm guys, God, Gil, take it easy, man. It's like, that stuff happened to us too. Really? Yeah. All that kind of stuff. I didn't notice. See, because my trust factor then became how I had the fear they were going to go back to the rooms and tell people. But I figured if they tell on me, I'll tell on them. Because I had to, they were sick. They were sicker than me. These guys were nuts. They brought me to my true nature before I can get to the exact nature of my wrongs. What it was, in short, was I did not trust that God everyone was talking about in Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't trust him when I was growing up. I was a little boy. But I began to realize that God was trying to catch my attention since I was a little boy. He caught my attention with my alcoholism. He caught my attention with my divorce. He caught my attention with bankruptcy. He caught my attention in losing my business. When I was 10 years sober, I lost everything. All I had was a big book, my binky and blanket, a home group, and a sponsor. And I said, at 10 years sobriety, that's all I need. And from there, I proceeded to go. 11 years, I moved to California. Shortly after that, Roseanne and I got married. But I didn't do the 6 and 7 steps. I'm making amends, and I didn't do a 6. That backfired, all of them. Ugh. They are the 2 most misworked steps in recovery. For me, they were. I don't know about you. This is my story. Big book only had a few paragraphs. I crawled to that sponsor and I said, if I don't work on these character defects, I'm going to drink. Yeah, he said, oh yeah, you will. He said, Gil, your 4 steps, your blueprint to progress. Let's go over it again. Out of negative feelings and emotions, we got to grab some glaring defects because you can't fix something you can't spot. I said, sounds good. So we went and we grabbed some. We grabbed some defects. 30 I found. I said it before this afternoon. There are 100 known defects to a human being with negative feelings and emotions. I only saw 30. You guys got the other 70. When your 70 generates my 30, program says, look at me, not you. Because what I see in you, I have myself. In Jersey, we used to say, you spot it, you got it. You call someone an a-hole, the only reason why you can identify because you're close to one or you are one yourself, or you wouldn't identify with it. It's like playing marbles with the Aborigines. You make a circle, they put their marbles in. If you don't tell them the rules, you'll win all their marbles, I'll tell you that. But, what the hell kind of, oh God. Must be the lights. But, big book didn't help me. I ran into Dr. Paul, the addict alcoholic. Story was in the old big book on 449 or whatever. They had changed it, you know. Achievement changed. These alcoholics don't like someone calling themselves addicts and alcohol. Anyway, I met him. I spoke at his home group. Remember that, Roseanne? Awesome. Laguna Beach. And I said, he shook my hand. He said, that's a fine AA talking to me. I said, Roseanne, you know what that is? You know what that is? I wanted his autograph, you know. Anyway, and I gave him a grapevine question. And that's what I said to him. I said, Paul, if you had to do sobriety all over again, what would you do? He said, Gil, I would put more emphasis on my 6th and 7th step. Ooh, I like that, you know. I kind of like that. 12 years after the big book, Bill Wilson, who had difficulties other than alcohol himself, wrote the 12 and 12 for people who are having problems other than alcohol. Hello? That book fits me. I don't know about you. And it'll tell me what I left out of my step work out of the big book, that's for sure. And he writes in the 6th step and the 12 and 12, this is the step that separates the men from the boys. And it's 2007, I always say the girls from the women. I'm not leaving the women out. You know, that we need to go into a whole new journey of open-mindedness if we're to gain any advantage of this step. It wasn't just alcohol that kicked my ass. Bill Wilson himself wrote it was his character defects that ambushed him into alcoholism in the first place. I took that pretty serious. And I read that step. And I was starting to get a little perspective. Was I entirely ready? Yeah, I was beaten by humility. I'm ready. I'm ready to do something here. I know what some of my glaring defects are. And I was approached by those in whom some problems have been solved. And we went to a 6 and 7 step study that we worked out after a meeting in a church. And them guys told me to put my glaring defects down on a piece of paper and look the definitions up. Then let's find the opposites of the defects and write the definitions of them. Well, I used to lie, I was going to tell the truth, and so on down the line. And them guys said, try to practice the opposites of your defects. I don't know about you, it made sense to me. It isn't a drink that takes people out of here. It's something that manifests itself in some form of a defect that magnifies, and that will set you up for that first drink. Guaranteed. Ask a relapser when they come back. Ask them, oh, the meeting was, I didn't do this, and, oh, but did you ever see the opposites of your defects? They look at me like I'm nuts. I said, did you ever see the opposites of your defects? No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's why you relapsed. You didn't stick around long enough to ensure and protect your sobriety. That's why you slipped. He was like, whoa, you know, it's like, I couldn't believe. Them guys were telling me the defect's the cause. What's causing it? Shortcomings, the harm. Who's it harming? I'll take a character defect to this day. I will false label it, dress it up, make believe I don't have it, rationalize and justify it behind the behavior of it. Now it's a shortcoming. That's what a shortcoming is. You know, Joe and Charlie are going around saying, it's the same thing. It ain't the same thing. It'll do the same harm. It ain't. Cursing is a shortcoming. Think about it. Cursing is a shortcoming. When I first spoke, my first speaking engagement, I said to my sponsor, how'd I do? He said, if you didn't curse, you only have half a story. Well, I was pissed at him. It's a lifetime job. The old timers would say the 6th step is, I don't do what I want to do. The 7th step is, I do what I don't want to do. See, it backs you up. It backs you up. It's a drunk trap. Bill Wilson made it so. A drunk trap. You know, you're going to walk around, yep, I saw my defects. Yep, I don't want them. God's got them. Oh, really? I got news for you. He's not going to remove anything from me unless I take up some of his qualities. You know what they are? The opposites of my defects. Being caring, loving, kind, thoughtful, understanding, patient, and tolerant. And you know what does harm? You can tell it wasn't done a 6th and 7th step. Thoughtlessness does a lot of harm in recovery. When someone's not thoughtful of another human being, chances are they never, big book 10-steppers, that's all they are. They're around, it exists. I see it with my own eyes. I don't want to be there. There's two kinds of people in AA anyway. People that are working the steps, people that ain't working them. People that ain't working them are taking the inventory of people that are working them. The people that are working them are practicing patience and tolerance on the ones that ain't working them. Welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. That's how it works. Two people will show you what to do, show you what not to do. What is it you're paying attention to? Because we are what we pay attention to. I am what I pay attention to. My stories. Sometimes I forget. I try to tell yours, and I don't want to tell yours. I didn't come here to tell you how to get sober or why you should be sober. All I got is what's working for me. And it works just fine. A lifetime job, those steps. 8, who did I harm? Go back to your 4 steps, then your 5th column. I put my higher power down. He goes, your higher power? Yeah. I thought, I don't know if I heard him. I ain't taking no damn chances. You want to talk about... you want to talk about... Actually, he likes any kind of attention he can get. You know, I would curse my higher power. Why'd you do this to me? You know, he loves it. He sits up there and goes, if that wasn't happening, you wouldn't even mention my name. You know. He loves it, man. He loves any kind of attention you can give him. People I harm, higher power, parents, ex-wives, people I owe money to, list hits the ground. Kids, oh God. I went to my parents, they were in a hospital. My dad, an amputee from diabetes. My mom, she was in a hospital. She thinks he's dead, he thinks she's dead. I'm doing this double hospital thing every day. And I put my head on my dad's chest, you know, and I used to love when a kid listening to his heartbeat, you know, and I hugged him and I said, Dad, I love you, man. You know what he says? And my mom, I said the same thing. They go, you still going to them meetings? Parents, man, they're a trip. Like, they were blaming my alcoholism on that I caught it from them. And I assured them, Mom, that's not true. Mom, best thing ever happened to me is AA. Trust me. My mom will turn around to the nurse and say, my son's a good boy, he goes to AA. I go, Mom, man, you ain't supposed to tell everybody. Yeah. My kids, Dad, remember when you said you were coming to pick us up on Sunday and you never showed? I said, I know, man, you know, but I don't do that now. You know, they still, you know, I go, listen, they got meetings for people who think like you guys, you know. I said, you're adult children of an alcoholic. Oh, you got a label for everybody. Out of 6 kids, my one son finally got a year's sobriety. He got a DUI driving a fire truck to the fire. You believe this? I mean, he made the headlines. And Bill's a part of my men's home group I belong to, and he came and my son took his coin. They took a silver dollar, you know, and they put a stone in it. Parker, AA, men's Parker meeting. My other home group in AA is the Crossroads in Aurora, 9:15 on Sunday. I'm sick. I need 2 home groups. But yeah, hey, one out of 6 ain't bad. We got 1 more to go. We'll see if he program of attraction goes all the way into the family. So anyway, so my son, he goes around speaking, quoting me. I gave him one of my CDs, you know, ha ha ha. So he's making all his people, he's telling my stuff. I said, get your own damn story. As long as he's sober, I don't care. Lifetime. I went back to them people I stole money from. The daughter's alive, the parents are dead. I said, I went to school with her, and I said, I stole money from your folks and my sponsor. You know how the old sponsors, pay the money back. Oh man, they forgot about it. Go pay the money back. I go over there and I tell her, I said, I stole money from your folks. Oh, sit down, I want to talk to you. She said, I thought it was my brother. He was doing drugs and we thought he ripped us off. I said, no, I don't know. I didn't quite know the date, but I said, no, it wasn't me. I said, we emptied out the register. She said, yeah, I remember. I said, well, I got to pay the money back. She said, no, the insurance covered it. I go back to my sponsor. Oh, the insurance covered it. I told her. He said, pay her anyway. You know how they are, you know. Clear away the records of our past. Give freely what we find. 10. You know, but the promises, some of them kicked in after 9. You know, they're materialized if you work for them. I work my ass off for them. Just, my wife was sharing today. The financial insecurity one was the last one we got a hold of. You know, of course, we lost our home a couple of years ago, but we were reckless with our finances. What's left after you don't drink? All kinds of crap. No, I wasn't as well as I thought I was. But 10-step checks me out. If I leave anything out from 1 to 9, I'll show up my attitude, my behavior with you people. Service work, my home group work, my work life, my family life. It'll show up. It'll show up. Am I being the best alcoholic I can be? Am I doing the right things for the right reasons? Are my motives in the right place? All the time I have to ask myself. You know, a lot of times I would gamble and then on Sunday cut coupons out of the paper. You know, trying to take a good behavior to cover up a bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? I still find myself doing that. I still find myself doing that. I need the 10-step. I need to know if I got things right with man or God and myself. Because I need to have a clear head to go for the 11th step. They say, Gil, you know, you want to improve your conscious contact with that God? Into my 3rd step, you know what I said to my God? I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are, what you are. I'm going to do the steps, Alcoholics Anonymous. Only if I need you, I'll call on you. I didn't know about the 11th step. Now they want me to call on them. Do I have something to call about? You bet your ass. You bet your ass. I say to that God, you did all this for me, God. What can I do for you today? Right then and there, my will's not in the way. God, you did all this for me. What can I do for you today? The book says the answers come when your own house is in order. Well, I say somewhat in order because it fits me. I make up my own rules. What can I do for you today? You did all this for me. I thank him for keeping me sober. I thank him for the things he's given me through the steps. I thank him for what he's taken away through the steps. And then I thank him for what's left. That's what humbles me. Nobody hit my ass with no well wand, I'll tell you right now. There's no role model for the recovering alcoholic. Although there's a lot of people running around that think they are. But there is no role model. I said today, I don't know. Bill Wilson used to talk about well-adjusted AAs. I have no idea where they meet. I've been looking and looking for 26 years. I don't know where they are. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. Try to carry the message. Don't say I will. Say I'm going to try. Having had doesn't last long. It's like an orgasm. I don't know how else to describe it. If you want another orgasm, you got to work for it. At least that's the way it was in the old days, right, Roseanne? If you want a spiritual awakening, you got to work for it. It doesn't last long. We're supposed to give it away. It's when a person becomes able to do and feel that which he or she could not do on his own or her own resources alone. Think about that. That's a spirit. God's doing for me what I can't do for myself all the time. My misfortunes have been my good fortunes. It took me 3 women to get it right. Actually, we're doing better now than we were a couple years ago. I closed some doors, worked on my pride, and God opened up some new doors for us. You know why? Because we never stop working with other alcoholics, no matter what our circumstances are. No matter what it is. And something happened to me between steps 1 and 12. Oh shit. The obsession and the compulsion to drink has been arrested. Most of us know what arrested means. Forgiveness took place through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Forgiveness is an act that takes an enormous amount of spiritual strength. Where would I get an enormous amount of spiritual strength? Falling down drunk. Through all the weaknesses I exposed in my step work, gave me some spiritual strength. Forgiveness fosters humility. There you are, the $100 word. Humility. You don't. It's not in a drawer. No one gives it to you. It's fostered by forgiveness. Humility fosters gratitude. No one's going to stay sober, doesn't have gratitude for Alcoholics Anonymous, the people that are in it, our sponsees, our sponsorship, our home group, our co-founders, our predecessors. You don't have gratitude, you ain't going to be here. Just it's an ingredient, and you have to earn it. And gratitude brings on emotional balance. Emotional sobriety is something to work for. I see people put ropes around their necks sober because they don't complete their step work. Emotional sobriety brings on spiritual progress. That's the touchstone of all recovery. It has no boundaries. It's boundless. A man or a woman can take the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, go where no man or woman's gone before without the Spaceship Enterprise. Think about that. My life is wonderful today. Alcoholics Anonymous is the best thing that ever happened to me. If you ever fill out a resume for work, I found a question, what's the best thing that ever happened to you? Trust me, Alcoholics Anonymous does not look good on a resume. Yeah. Listen, I want to thank York Street people and all you guys for being here. I'm an alcoholic. My name is Gil. I love you. Thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.